Fact check. Fact check. So, just let you guys know that. Do you guys know that blue whale is the fattest animal in the world?
Fattest.
Yeah, it's like the fattest animal in the world. And I know it's a mammal, but it accumulates the most amount of fat. How cool is that fact?
It's a plankton diet, bro. Gotta watch the plankton.
Great.
One more fact check. Moose, on the other hand, is the leanest animal in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just looked it up yesterday. I'm like the fattest and the leanest animal.
Oh, I found this other fun fact the other day. It said that Prantik has the smallest brain in the world. Oh yeah, I got that one. Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Forgay, 2.0.
For
And I'm asking my fellow comrades a question. What is the most overrated food?
Ooh.
Most overrated food.
Butter chicken.
Is that
Butter chicken's English, isn't it?
Final answer?
My final answer. It's overrated as shit.
But it's pretty fucking good.
It's good because it's sweet, and it's not
Yeah,
supposed to be sweet.
I think, Connor, are you looking for more of an answer that's something that's overrated, but like it's not really that great?
Whatever comes to your mind. Whatever comes to your mind, man. I see a lot of people having avocado on toast. It's good, but it's not as good as people think. On butter chicken, man, dude, I'm pretty sure that was made in England, not even India.
I guess so. I don't know where it was made, but whoever started
Vindaloo was made in Portugal.
Whoever started this trend of having sweet butter chicken should go to hell, because butter chicken ain't sweet. It was never meant to be sweet.
Imagine you're like literally God, and like you're at the gate of heaven. And you're like, okay, you're checking the list. Okay, he hasn't done any crimes, hasn't like killed anyone.
Ooh, invented butter chicken.
He's faithful. Invented butter chicken. All right, you're gonna be going somewhere different today, mate. So take the escalator downstairs. All right, here's my thing, and I'm gonna get roasted for this. Just cheese in general. Cheese is so freaking overrated in my opinion. Oh my god.
Oh, you can go fuck yourself.
Hey,
seriously? Like
you can go
are you
fuck
kidding me?
With your farts and your lactose intolerant.
Clearly, you've never had good cheese. Have you? Tell me, have you ever had Duff and Nice cheese?
I haven't had any cheese.
Really soft treat. Yeah.
Go cheese.
Okay. All right, mate. Your little sliced cheese or your little cheese sticks, all right, that you have when you're 5 years old. Okay, that's not cheese. All right, that's kid stuff. You're like baby shit. All right, step up into the real world. Have some proper cheese. What you need to do, get yourself a really nice camembert. All right, do you even know what that is?
I don't know how to spell
it. You know what that is? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Camembert.
Right. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what?
Can you spell it for me?
Leave it there.
You spell it for me right now. I'll Google it.
I have a cheese ball.
Camembert. Yeah.
Camembert. What the hell is this, guys? Yeah. I'm Indian.
So anyways, you get that, all right? And then what you do is you wrap it in like a...
I've had that before, man. It's okay, and you're a dinner party.
Listen, you put that in some puff pastry and like cranberries, and then you bake that in the oven. Basically, it's a melted cranberry puff pastry dish, cheesy as fuck. All right, you can serve it up with bread, dry biscuits, or whatever, mate. That's a cheese delight that you'll fucking like. Just shut up with your last comment. All right, like I'm over you already.
All right, I'm just making sure I got the right one. Yeah, camembert, the cheese. You know what that is? That is when you're at a party and you're not too friendly with people, and you're just nibbling at the side, just trying to get stuff down. That's a nervous cheese right there. That's the only thing I can say for it.
It
tastes good. Brie. It's soft. I'll give it that. But
a soft brie, or like type in DA, type in on Google, type in your DAFFINOIS. So DAFFINOIS. It says like fromage diaphanos.
Wow.
Jeez,
mate. Bro. You take this shit out of the fridge like at least an hour before you eat it. Mate, it fucking melts in your mouth. This is the cheese to die for.
Jesus.
You You know what though? The more I think about it, buffalo cheese.
Oh,
I don't mind that.
mate, on a pizza. On a pizza, are you going to say no to that? Are you going to say no to that? Don't tell me you're going to say no.
I'm going to say yes, please. But then goat's cheese is still pretty good.
Hey,
with
blue
like
cheese
breakfast and stuff.
Blue cheese.
I like gorgonzola. Gorgonzola's good.
That's smelly, but that's good.
Blue cheese is exactly what I was thinking of when I was thinking of overrated. Oh man,
It's smelly,
nasty.
right? But it's good. You like that?
Right,
smelly
I put my ass out on the line with cheese. You got buttered chicken. Very, cultural on the nose thing. Nick, what is your thing?
Oh, I've been like overrated food.
Are you Googling it?
No, I'm just the fuck. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't know.
Nick loves everything.
That's a problem. Like,
Water?
man, I'm lost because I actually eat too much. Like, I just eat so much damn food that I'm like trying to think. Like,
You know what?
I mean,
with water,
quinoa,
I'll tell you what.
quinoa, like, is quinoa that great? Like, maybe mixed with other shit, but like by itself, is it that great? Quinoa?
It's not that good. Just have rice, mate.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know what? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? We were literally chatting midweek. and
Green
we were debating
juices.
doing
You
a
know
whole
what? Green
episode.
juices. Green juices. Fuck that shit.
Who the hell likes a green juice though?
Cheers to life and to our healthy liver and detoxified body. Green juice all the way.
Oh
the
man,
way.
get a pizza in ya. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Right. I like being the only person to put my neck out on the line. Prantik buttered chicken.
I'm curious if anyone would ever say burgers.
You know what though? Okay. Burgers, pizzas, wings. I heard that being an argument the other day. Like someone said, get rid of one. I answered wings so quickly. Like, yeah, when they're good, but like, come on. I felt like that was a really unfair comparison, man. Okay, what do you do? Pizza or burgers then?
What would I get rid of?
Yeah.
Burger. I would have
Really?
pizza. Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you this. It's harder to get a shit burger than it is a shit pizza.
It's hard.
Like, you really notice the difference, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like,
So you're saying
you
shit
know,
pizza?
Domino's pizza. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I'd take a McDonald's burger. over
But
a
it's
Domino's
hard.
pizza.
It's hard to get a good pizza.
Yeah, but when it's good, it's
But
when
it's
it's good,
you know.
The thing is,
Yeah.
if you didn't have a good pizza, then you wouldn't know what a bad pizza is.
Yeah. Actually, I've got a question though. Do you guys like coriander? I fucking love it.
I love
but do you like it?
Love.
I have got a very traumatic experience with coriander. I don't even know if I feel like sharing with the
Oh,
audience.
for the American viewers, cilantro. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yep, cilantro.
Really? Man, I one time went to like a buffet and I was like getting lean, like my hunger, all that stuff was through the roof. I went to Queensland, I was with my boy, and we go to this all-you-can-eat buffet. So like I'm just doing the rounds, eyeing everything off. I plan to eat. This is like full eating disorder like mode. Like if someone tested me, I would have ticked off all the things. And my first like little entree thingamabob was prawns, something like that, but there was like a bunch of coriander. And it was good, it was fine. But then, okay, next meal. Okay, meats, whatever. Okay, I'm still tasting coriander. Time for some chocolate ice cream. Okay, chocolate ice cream and goddamn coriander. It did leave my mouth the whole time and it ruined like the whole buffet that I've been waiting for weeks. Oh man. It's good, but it hangs around, doesn't it?
I don't know.
If you cook it nicely,
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you cook it nicely, then it doesn't actually.
You know what?
Yeah.
Put it in your chocolate ice cream and then come back to me.
I don't know. Prantik would know. Like Indians fucking froth that shit.
I mean,
It's
like
froth
not,
coriander.
not froth coriander. I mean, like we don't put it in every dish, but we do like it as a topping,
Like a garnish, yeah.
Like a garnish, yeah. So yeah, coriander is really nice. It has also got very nice benefits. Vitamin C, a lot of it.
I had a question, Prantik, actually.
Yeah.
So we're chatting about overrated. How come mango lassies haven't blown up here like chocolate milkshakes and all the rest has?
I don't know.
Is there any good reason?
Probably because
They're pretty
its
freaking good.
shelf life is less because it's a
Don't you make them fresh as
milk-based.
well?
Yeah, you make it fresh, but the problem is it's milk based, so it cannot be kept outside
Same
without
as a milkshake,
refrigerator.
yeah?
Yeah, same as a
I'm
milkshake.
saying you go to a restaurant and you're like, okay, I'll order this. It can even be like, full Australian American. We'll get a steak and fries and I'll have mango lassi with that, please, I could get
Yeah,
around that.
I mean, like it involves multiple steps. For example, you need to get the yogurt, and then you need to mix the yogurt up really nice. It either has to be hand mixed or it has to be mixed in a machine that doesn't
Yeah.
like vigorously mix it, and then it
Yeah.
loosens the yogurt up. Then you mix your mango. If like most of the people don't do it with real mangoes, you need to drop
Hmm.
slices of mangoes in there. Most of the people just put syrup in it, and then that's mango lassi. But if you
Really?
do it
Like
with
mango
real
syrup.
mango, it's madness.
Huh.
It's goddess in your mouth. The mango
Yeah, I'm
goddess.
It's
surprised
good.
it hasn't blown up, Because
Yeah, I know. It
Mm.
should, right?
you know that
Hey,
joke when people say like, oh, what's your American food you've had? Oh, I get like tacos and I get like,
mango lassi.
pizza and stuff like that, stuff that's not actually American. Yeah. Actually, I got one last thing before we move on to topic. So we're talking about pizzas and you're in America now. So you're in Connecticut, so you're closest to New York, aren't you?
Yep.
Have you tried because I know they've got a huge debate over like which style pizza is best, like Chicago deep dish, I think it's called pizza, and
Yep.
the New York style. Do you have an opinion yet?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like where I'm at right now, New Haven, is the birthplace
Yes.
of pizza.
Hmm?
Like this is where pizza was
Pretty sure. I'm
born.
pretty sure Naples. I'm pretty sure Naples is,
No,
but
no, they
well,
say
I was going to let it pass.
they say in America this is the birthplace. In New
Okay.
Haven, in Connecticut. And now this is in Google. Nick, don't laugh. If you want to look it up, look it up.
pretty sure Italy, Naples,
Uh-huh.
but we.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going with your story.
But yeah, I think there's a pizza store here that's like really really old. Like it's very famous around the world. It's known as the Frank Pepe's Pizza. Super super famous. It was started way back, and the pizza is like, it's not like the universal round clock shaped pizza. It's a very ragged edged pizza. So it's like stretched out in different. It can be triangular in some edge, and some edge is square, some rectangle, stuff like that. And it's not cut like a universally cut pizza, on diagonals, and you have triangular pieces. You don't. You have square pieces, small squares, big squares, triangles, rectangles, stuff like that. So it's pretty unique. And like I always remember when I eat that, I remember Nick saying that always eat the edge, the crust that helps in digestion. I think that's what Nick mentioned, and I still remember it. So I don't leave the crust out there, but it's absolutely amazing. It's oven baked, so it's baked in
Have
a
you
wood oven.
do you follow a guy named Dave Portnoy?
No,
Barstool Sports. Have you heard of that? Oh man, really? You never heard of Barstool?
no.
Okay, if he ever watches this one day, Dave, I apologize for this, but this guy's like one of the like he just had an interview with Donald Trump last weekend, or like a couple of weeks ago. But he's pretty well known. But one of his things that he does is he does pizza reviews, like pretty much all around America, right? And so if you follow him on Instagram or YouTube, the guy has literally done every single pizza joint in America. I'll look at that and be like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just want to review pizzas, give them a rating, and like that's it. But have you heard of a pizza restaurant in New York called Lucelli's or Lucelli's?
Lucelli's.
Have you been there? Lucelli's.
We planned to be there because we booked a seat, but we never got a reservation. It was booked out. This was before Rona.
Yeah, it's one of the most booked out.
Very busy.
Yeah, apparently, like this, he's given it like he's pretty harsh with his like ratings, and I'm pretty sure he gave it like a 9.3 or a 9.4. Like, man, he's not afraid to give people ones or like fours or shit. So he gave this place a 9.4, and I was like, I keep looking at it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this in my wood fire oven at home. I'm gonna try at least, but fuck, man, like nah, like this shit's like the bomb. It's like a cross between like New York style, but then it has that kind of look of a Neapolitan, so the Italian style, but like just the look of it, but it's clearly like a New York pizza. But fuck, man, like follow this guy. I think on Instagram, his name is stool president or bar stool president or something like that. But Dave Portnoy, man, he's the fucking he's like the bomb. He's not just a pizza reviewer. Like this guy's a fucking genius. But anyways, what was I gonna say? So
Barstool president? Nah.
yeah, Dave Portnoy is that? Yeah. Anyways,
Stool president.
yeah,
Stool
that's the one. Stool
president.
president.
Yeah.
He's on Fox News a lot.
Uh,
You know what? As long as the pizza's cut into the weird shapes you were talking about, Prantik.
yeah.
You know what? Now I'm thinking about it. You know, like when you're a kid, you're in the waiting room for the doctor. You got like the square shapes that you got to fit through the square holes and stuff like that. I'm imagining like there's these babies that just can't figure out a square that can't go into a triangle, and then like these super serious like FBI like wearing types that actually work at that pizza joint you're talking about. Just come like, we need to have a word with your kid. We've got an amazing job interview coming up. Something like that, you know, like, okay, this person knows what kind of shapes we need. You need to think outside the box, make a circle fit into a triangle. So that's exactly, it sounds like what your pizza is.
And we waited 3 hours just to have a pizza in the store in cold weather, in snow. Like it was snowing and there was a huge line and we waited 3 hours just to have pizza. It is that good. I mean, it's super thin crust. First of all, the crust is like paper thin and the taste of it, delicious.
Go to Southern California, man. Like you're gonna find the best Mexican food in the entire world. It's like I'm not even kidding. Like nothing comes close to it unless my mum makes it. But like,
from what I understand, there, I think like Caucasians are a minority. Like it's majority people from like Mexico and stuff. Like Hispanics. Yeah.
I mean,
how could you go wrong? You know.
Yes.
All right.
Shit.
All right, lads, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about how to get lean. So, man, I kind of
we're just talking about
food.
Well, you know what? We just started talking about pizza, Mexican food, different fucking cuts of pizza, like squares and like, you know, rectangles, you know, according to Prantik. But now we're going to talk about getting lean. Like, you know what? If there's anything I've learned about getting lean, have more of these conversations with people just about food, you know, just get it out. Like if you can't eat it, just talk about it with someone. Open up, discuss your relationship, you know, that you have with this specific food. You know, what you know, just like, you know, treat it as like a marriage, you know, because you know, the thing is when you walk away from that food ain't going to steal half your shit. All right. So like, just I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, gee whiz.
That's one way of putting food, like a love for food. You know, this man loves his food, so that's why he brings.
Yeah,
it
it's
up.
funny. Like I know when you get really lean, there's like an inverse relationship. The more calories you're on, the more you think about sex. The lower your calories are, there's like an inverse relationship. You over time think about like sex less and less and less.
Food compromises for
think
sex.
about more. Like it's literally like an antagonistic graph. Like
Foodgasm.
That, you know. Foodgasm.
Foodgasm. Yeah. So that's our topic for today. Eh? Lean gains, lean meat cuts. So what is all this hype going about keto diet and all those sort of stuff? I guess we're going to talk about all that. Lean mean fats, lipids, stuff like that. Carbs. And yeah, so lean is the game. So the whole world wants to get lean, guys. Everyone is looking at summer bought goals, 6-pack abs. I know Australia is coming up with summer, so people are looking at 6-pack abs from home. How to get lean at home? How to get lean within the 4 walls of a 75 square foot house? How? I don't know. People are like throwing dishwasher liquid and water onto the floor and grabbing onto the ledge of their kitchen island, and then they're just making it a treadmill. What the fuck? This doesn't work like that. Getting leaner, this is my treadmill. What the hell? Man, come on, you're gonna fall face first and then you're gonna lose teeth. You're gonna lean out your face as well. So
What?
that's one way of leaning, leaning out. I've leaned out from all angles. My face has gone in, no teeth, because I fell down.
Yeah, it kind of works, man. It's like, if you're really trying to lose weight, the quickest way to do it is like saw off your legs, So
Yeah.
kind of the same premise, Oh
Femurs.
man, but on the keto and stuff like that, we could
Get rid
maybe
of your
start there.
femurs.
If he's going on keto, you can start there.
Yeah. Right. Do you have any thoughts on keto, Nick?
Like, I've tried it. I don't
Mhm.
like it. I mean, like,
Do
I
you
can do it for a
recommend
little bit, but I would only ever recommend it if somebody enjoyed eating a keto diet, if you know what I mean. If somebody's generally they prescribe it to people that have like epilepsy or things like that, medical
That's right,
conditions
yeah.
yeah. So during something like that, then that's where the case for keto would work. But like when experiencing with, just your everyday people, a lot of people talk about, ketos, fad diets in general. They're like, oh, what about this? Will this actually help me lose weight? Like there's nothing special about it. To be honest, if people have had success from it, right? If people have had success from a keto diet, they go, oh, it was the keto diet. Well, no, it was just the fact that you eliminated, majority of carbs out of your diet and you're probably eating a lot less. Therefore, you got leaner.
Hey,
That's
2 years ago, keto was
yeah.
mainstream. Keto was mainstreamed. Like it was like not like it's the hype was huge. People were like, this is 2018, 2017, 2018 time when this diet just flew in from nowhere and everyone was doing keto.
A lot of
Everyone.
people doing keto in the 90s, to be honest, too.
Exactly.
Like,
Dude, it all goes in cycles, man. Even
yeah,
like the bodybuilders
yeah.
of the 70s, theirs diet wasn't far off a keto diet. Like it wasn't particularly high carb, at least. Like if they only get calories, it's like, think of how they do it. They'd go like milk, full cream. You think of like the eggs, the bacon, the sausage. It's hard to say that without turning into Arnold. And you go through cycles in like late 80s for like the low fat zone. And then like, people saw issues with that and it comes back to high fat again. Dave Palumbo got popular. And then people saw the issues with low carbs again, low fat, high carbs became popular again. It goes through cycles, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it ties to like, man, there's not many things that people across the board have been as unsuccessful with over so long as getting lean and staying lean. Like we've progressed in a lot of ways, in the last 50 years, but people are just trying to find maybe potentially an easier way, maybe in their head thinking a better way. And man, all these things come in because it can, serve as a solution to the problem that the fitness industry can present, which is, hey, you're kind of ugly, but we can make you look better. And so they'll present the keto diet and it's like, oh yes, that will save the day. And as Nick mentioned, like all the diets that work, they have good principles in place. And it's because of the good principles, not because of the dogmaism and the little itsy bitsy factors for the most part. Yeah.
So what is the
thing is,
oh, sorry, Nick, go ahead.
I was just going to say the thing about these like fad diets in general, like even something like right now, what's popular right now is the carnivore diet. That's just strictly meat. Eggs. But like I presume milk products and things like that. But majority of the time, it's just steak on your plate, right?
No, just meat.
Yeah, just meat. No, nothing else. No veggies, no fibrous foods, no carbs, no nothing, right? But back on like just on these type of diets in general, there's nothing wrong with the Gen Pop doing this and getting good results out of it. I think the issue occurs where, what's the word I'm looking for? The issue occurs when they're trying to spread like false information, kind of create like a cult kind of thing
Trend.
to say this is the only way to live.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of people fall for these, so-called things, and a lot of the time they end up in worse situations, not just physically, psychologically as well. And they kind of just keep taking back steps, 20 back steps, and they end up being worse off, when they were before they started. That's that's where I see things go wrong with these so-called fad diets, and that's like the potential risks that I see involved. But if things were like even something as vegan, like these diets, they if they're successful for some people, good. Like if you can gain a lot of success from it, you're healthy because of it, great. Doesn't mean it works for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
True.
so
Mm.
yeah,
True.
You guys done any gimmick diets?
um,
Yeah,
have I
gimmick
done
diet.
any of these diets? I've done. It was stupid. It was. I do not recommend this for anyone. I'll be honest. At the time, I don't think I could afford to buy a new suit. So, considering I know I'm a person who loves like just carb foods, right? Like I just smash it down. Um, at the time, yeah, I didn't want to buy a new suit, and I was obviously a bit heavier than I wanted to be, right? And so I think in 12 days, I just switched straight to a keto diet. And, like when I wouldn't say keto because I was still consuming adequate amounts like of protein. Keto actually has like a bit on the lower side. But let's just say it was a high fat, high protein diet. But I eliminated my carbs. So because of that, I was in a massive deficit. Now, for the first day or two, yeah, I was like mentally distraught. But then after a while, I was like, no, I can stick to this. Man, I ended up dropping like the weight out. I think it was like 4.5 kilos or something like that, or maybe a bit more in like less than 2 weeks. And I ended up fitting my
Yeah.
suit. And so like that's that's probably one time I've been close to following a diet like that, and I don't recommend it. That was stupid. I just needed to fit that suit. You know what? Moral of the story: don't put yourself in a position where you can't afford a fucking suit.
True. Very true.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think I've done variations of keto before, and particularly for long slogs, especially you might chat about this later, but there'll eventually be a stage with your dieting that you're just not getting much progress. Like metabolic factors are really against you. NEAT is really going down. Everything's telling you to bring your food back up. And I try to fight through keto, man. And they're probably some of the worst binges I've ever had. Like when I was talking about that buffet before, it was purely because I was thinking about carbs. And I'm a particular person that does better on carbs, like physically and psychologically as well. Did carb backloading. You guys heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you have like most of your carbs towards the evening. And there's benefits towards that, but again, it's a little bit dogma based as well. My start of my training career, I was clearly on like a low protein diet. I don't think I hit adequate protein for the first 2-3 years of my lifting.
Wow.
Man,
See,
so many gains lost.
I actually do like carb backloading because that helped me sleep. Like I fucking just the amount of carbs having at nighttime, like it really put me to sleep, and I would always have like really good sleeps that night. When doing like shifting more carbs towards the end of the day. But if you can tie that in with training towards the end of the day, I find that beneficial as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little added benefit for sure.
Yeah. And you're kind of just looking forward to it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think it's something. Go on.
No, go on, because I'll talk about how all these different ways of like shifting meal timings and stuff, how it's like kind of led me to what I do currently right now. But no, keep going with what you're saying.
Yeah, especially when you're on limited carbs, I find it kind of depressing. Imagine you have all your like a bunch of carbs in meal one, like your breakfast or whatever, and you do that, and you're like, okay, and you enjoy carbs, and it's like, okay, I'm done. Now I'm kind of just looking forward to tomorrow. Yes, I think it's like, okay, it's coming. It's easy to work that way, I think it's almost like getting a paycheck first, then you just kind of chill out at work. It's like, hey, we're getting paid versus, okay, I do a good job and blah, blah, blah. I don't think if that analogy works at all, but I definitely look forward to the carbs at night, man. But the serotonin rush just before bed, it's juicy.
Juicy. Love it. What about you, Prantik? What have you tried any fat diets?
Oh yeah, a lot. A lot of wrong ones, a lot of right ones. Got bulged up because it was wrong. This is the starting of my career as a bodybuilder. When I was a bodybuilder, when I started it off, it was a wrong diet that I did. I used to be on muesli, yogurt, never knowing that I had lactose intolerance. Muesli,
Oh, did
yogurt.
ya? Do ya?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Never found out because I never used to drink a lot of milk when I used to go to school in my early years. It was just generally rice and something else, rice and a curry in the morning, and then after school you go. So that was life back then. But when I really started doing these diets, the first time I was really bad because I didn't know, as all newbies who never seek advice, I was one of those who didn't have the right guidance, and I fell into the trap of high fat, high carbs, high protein diet. What that made me was a
All the foods.
ball of fat. Yeah, that's literally all the foods that you can eat.
How
So
heavy you get?
for then, I wasn't actually. I was sitting at 55 kilos during competition. That was the beginning of when I started competing.
No, but during the bulk, the high fat,
Oh,
high carb, high
the
everything.
bulk I used to go. That I went up to 72.
Oh, come on. I was expecting some like number near triple figures.
No, no, I wasn't that. That's fat Prantik. So I was still 72. Still is a lot of weight. For me sitting at 55, I brought that weight down to 55. So 72 was like
Yeah.
chubby cheeks. I was never super fat. I guess I don't have that gene in me, in which I put on a lot of like a bulky body fat. I never put that on. I still eat pizzas here and there, but never put that weight on. Thanks to my dad and my forefathers. So probably, yeah, that's why I stay lean. But the problem with me is, like, everybody, I reckon, whoever does dieting and stuff has a weak point where the fat accumulates first. For me, it would be the lower belly. So I get a lot of fat targeted in the lower belly when I do high carb or high fat stuff like that. Or even if I have a little bit of carbs, extra carbs on a day, I do get that lower belly expansion. I'll call it lower belly expansion. So that's somewhere where my fat targets the first, and then I never get fat on my arms. I'm always lean on my arms, so I can pull the skin and you see how lean that is. So I'm always lean on my arms, and through my chest, I'll also, because I'm not competing as of right now. I also have gained a little bit fat on my side chest, but I'm still getting rid of it. But yeah, I mean, like, as Nick's mentioned, love that point that he mentioned. Always try different type of diets and see which one works for you, and that's a big recommendation. Like, try all sorts of diet. If a diet works for you, it'll work for you in 1 week. It won't wait 4 weeks to start working. Like, you'll see minor changes in 1 week. If you don't see the changes, then you're doing something wrong. Either you're not following or being loyal to your diet, or you're just messing it up with something else. Like, oh, let's
Yeah.
go drinks with friends. No, no, no seltzer, and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if you're bodybuilding a few weeks out, it can be rough.
Conor, I got a question for you. Like, when you're looking at nutrient, you kind of touched on this last week. When you're looking at like nutrient partitioning and stuff like that, and how would you necessarily like plan that in someone's diet? Going through like generally you would do something like that through like, let's say you have a higher carb ratio to fat. Would you do that more so like in a fat loss phase? And you're trying to really build someone's tolerance to uptake carbohydrates. What do they call it? AMPK? Is that like when like AMPK activation, right? Like if that's the kind of phase you're going through, and that's all right, I'm stimulating AMPK right now. This is like a good opportunity for me to, have like a good amount of carb uptake to kind of partition that. Is that am I along the right tracks here? I'm kind of asking you this because you probably know a bit more about this than me.
From what I understand, it might be a bit of an oversimplification, but the MK pathway is kind of like in the same way mTOR is like, hey, signaling growth. MK is like, okay, we're signaling kind of depletion in the muscle.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to be have food uptaken when you're depleted for sure.
Yeah. So like I would say, obviously MK signaled when body's running low on fuel. It's like, okay, I need a little kick in right now. I would say, if you're someone that struggles with, like high carbohydrate intake, not someone like you that can take 800 grams a day, but someone like I wouldn't say someone like me, I can still tolerate a lot of carbs, but to double that amount, not like I'm just exaggerating a little bit, but if I wanted to partition that a little bit better, during those fat loss phases, really have a higher carb ratio to fat to kind of like build my what's the word I'm looking for, like
Uptake?
just to build
Your
a
capacity?
better appetite. My capacity for carbs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Would that be a would you say that's a good idea to do for future phases of, okay, I'm going to go through a growth phase and I'm really going to consume a lot of carbs during this phase. Maybe I should go through stimulating AMPK, nutrient partition, some carbs to uptake a little bit, to plan for the future phase of, okay, I'm going to grow right now. Now's the time to consume a lot of calories. I really want to utilize these carbs. Boom, I'm good to go.
You definitely can do, and there's definitely a way of like phase potentiation on the nutrition side. If that training stimulus lies up, that's sometimes another question. You can go that way, going for something that kind of depletes you more than going to hypertrophy. On the whole, I like to have generally all stimulus thresholds pretty low when going to hypertrophy. So AMK, variation of what they even call AMK training, doesn't necessarily mean high sets, but kind of high energy demand-ish training you kind of associated with. And I kind of, on the whole, just in case to make sure all, at least if I don't, at least if I can have a few, if not all of my stimuluses have low thresholds, then I can actually go from there and be like, okay, when I train, I'm going to go above the thresholds and stimulate growth. But nutritionally, it can be like, I'll take an uptake. So I think with like bodybuilders and stuff like that, I think that kind of training, all things that are going to help you uptake more like nutrients and muscle, especially when you go for a cosmetic look and the fat's already off. So particularly like pre-contest, it can be very handy because towards the end, it's like, okay, if you've gotten rid of all the body fat, now it's like, how do I maximize my fullness? Or basically how much carbohydrate, or pretty much water to be honest, can I uptake in the muscle? Because the side effect of that is the more that's uptaken in the muscle is less between the muscle and skin, and that's what kind of gives people that watery, quote unquote, look that you see in bodybuilding. So it can be handy there. So I think there'll be times in training where it might not make you grow as much, but it'll really shoot up carbohydrate uptake. But I wouldn't say that's something I do all the time. Like,
no.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I do. Sweet.
I have a question.
I guess. Yeah, man.
So I guess we all are tracking. We all have tracked what are carbs, fats, proteins during all these cuts and bulks, right? So we all get that number. Okay, 300 grams, 200 grams of protein every day. 300 grams would be little too far-fetched. 200 grams of protein every day. As Conor is doing 750 grams of carbs every day, which is, oh wow, that's a lot. But I mean, like, how do you guys find? My question is, now during fat phase, the equation is simple: calories in, calories out. Now you figure it out. Those who know mathematics figure it out that when what increases and decreases, what are you going to get? So in that case, when you're trying to lose a lot of calories than what you have intake, I'm trying to bring in digital aid as in Apple Watches, My Health Tracker, and other sort of applications that are inbuilt in your phone. It's available. I think it's an Under Armour application. That's My Health Tracker or something. That's an Under Armour application, I guess. You have to pay some amount to get all access to all sorts of food in their database and stuff like that. But otherwise, the free version is not that bad, where you log in every day, so what you've eaten, and it calculates the.
Are you talking about MyFitnessPal?
MyFitnessPal, yeah. That's an Under Armour application, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Under Armour, if you're listening to us, we are open for sponsorships. So,
you really got ahead in that, Prantik, haven't you, with that shirt?
Look at that shiny head. I got a shiny head in that. Anyways.
All right, look at your t-shirt.
Yeah, so see, represent. So those applications, how do you feel How do you guys feel? Have you guys ever used it, first of all? And if you have used something like that, how do you guys feel that? How honest are they, or how close to the how accuracy? I'm talking about the accuracy of the data. How accurate was the data in your cases? Was it enough to
Well,
give you an like a calculated update as to what you are
are you
eating?
talking about your current calories or the food accuracy?
So
Like if you put in food and the calories that are from the food.
So, for example, you are dealing with a client who has that, who follows, who you have given that, okay, you're going to take 120 grams of protein and so much of carbs and so much of fats every day. Now, you're giving them a strict diet as to what to eat as well. Now, they're tracking this through their MyFitness app rather than actually measuring. They're measuring the food and they're not tracking it by flipping over the boxes and looking at the nutrition facts. They're putting these data in the My Nutrition Pal and then tracking it. Or someone who's running on the treadmill, you told them this is the amount of calories that we are targeting to burn, and they're burning it somehow by looking at the Apple Watch. Oh, okay, I have 200 more calories to burn. Let's go. Um, that's what I'm talking about. Um, relying on digital media just to keep yourself updated. How beneficial is that, and what is the accuracy?
For some people, it's a good check-in reference point if you don't have a diet coach or anything like that. So these applications, I think, have their uses. For some people, I know it can be an actual headache to put their food in all the time. Am I answering your question, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Connor, you put your hand up, so say something if you want.
No, I'm putting my hand up because it's freaking a headache for me.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
all
So
stuff
for
in my
some,
fitness pal, yeah.
yeah. So for some people, it can be an absolute headache. I think, I think a lot of the time some people might have issues with they look up a food and it might not be in their database, but then these apps now have you can create your own calorie. Like if you find a food and it's not in their database, you can create it and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. So for some people, it works well. For others, it doesn't at all. So therefore, probably not ideal to use it. It's just going to cause you a head fuck, and you're just probably not going to end up doing the diet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
From someone like me, I actually don't mind. I actually don't mind using applications like that or just simple things like that. And there's a reason for that because with me in particular, I think I actually get a bit like of anxiety about like planned food daily, for example. So, for example, if I see Monday to Sunday and I know exactly what I'm eating each and every one of those days, like I'll be okay. But I think I don't like the idea of I feel quite restricted, right? So when I'm looking at something, I like to know how much I can eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I kind of just I'll be as consistent as I can possible. For example, it's generally breakfast, lunch, and maybe that mid-afternoon meal. I'm quite consistent, but I know for the last 2-3 years my dinners always change, right? It's just how it is, right? And I knew when I tried to be consistent at dinner, I find myself in a position where I'll be anxious because there'll be other food on the table and it just wasn't doing well psychologically, right? So I then put myself in a position, okay, well, this isn't going to work for me because if I try and stick to eating what I do and then I want to eat more food and then more food again, eventually I'm just going to eat an overall excess of calories and I'm supposed to be in a fat loss phase right now. And so therefore, I'm not really getting the benefits that I want out of it. So what's the major box that I need to tick? Okay, how much can I eat, right? So I know I'm quite consistent throughout the day. I'm pretty good with that. But for dinner, all right, I've got to give myself some leeway here. Most of the time I give myself about 800, sometimes to 1,000, maybe 1,000 calories, a bit of leeway. Towards the end of the week, I'll leave more leeway. And I'll tell you why. So, for example, Sunday, my current schedule right now. So Sunday to Wednesday, I generally eat a lot less. That's because I'm not at my girlfriend's house. So I eat a lot less when I'm at home. But the reason why I leave a lot of calories for dinner because I know my mum cooks delicious food, right? So what I do is during the day, I eat like a decent amount, but like not enough to keep where I'm tired, but enough to like keep me going. So I'm good, right? And then I get to dinner, I leave myself that leeway, and I'm in my calorie requirements, right? But then, and I'm tracking this too, and then when it hits Wednesday night, okay, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I know these are my higher calorie days, so again, I control what I have during the day, but then I know for dinner, I'm going to splurge out a bit. So, for example, I think last night I had 2,300 calories. I had like a Spanish feast and stuff like that. I had 3,000 calories for the day, like whole for the day, but I only had about 700 out the entire day.
How much did you burn?
And I left. I didn't track that. But so what I have been tracking is my total weekly calories consistently over the last since the beginning of July or mid-July, right?
What
I've been
application are you using for this?
I use a carbon app or something. Yeah, it's just an application on my phone. But I use that. It's pretty easy to follow. Like it's just got all the foods that I want in it, and the scanning thing that does help. But basically, it's just a user-friendly app, and that's why I just use it. So I like that. I just look at my so I have my calories there. I look at it at a total week, right? Like I said, Sunday to Wednesday, I monitor because I know Wednesday to Saturday it's going to be super crazy, and I tend to train a little bit harder towards the end of the week anyway, just because of that. But then say for example, on that Saturday, I'll have because Sunday I know is going to be lower again, but Saturday I've had a really hard, like a higher calorie day. Sunday I'll have the energy to train hard. So I kind of look and see what Friday and Saturday can do for Sunday and Monday too. So I don't neglect things like that. But that's basically put me, over the last, I've lost six and a half, almost 7 kilos now.
Wow.
I'm just following something like that. And the reason being is because I found it suits my lifestyle. I got rid of the psychological fuck of like the feelings of like missing out on dinners and like stuff like that. Like it was just a massive head fuck for me. So I was like, okay, how can I eliminate that? And then I was able to do that by just following a simple system, right? So although you might look at my diets and say, oh, like he's not very consistent with the same foods he eats every single day. Maybe not, but where I am, I try to be consistent. But where I am consistent is looking at the grand scheme of things, the perspective of things, the calories and like the total calories and, how it's broken up over the course of the day. That whole thing is as consistent as I can be. And that's probably why I've had a successful leaning out phase during isolation. Whereas last ISO, man, I didn't track shit. I just ate whatever I want, drank whatever I want. I put on 7 kilos, and that's kind of where I got to where I am now. But I'm just doing this now because I felt I can stick straight to it. So I like the idea of if you're looking at a planner over a 7-day schedule, right? If you have to minimize some days, right, just because other days you're going to have more, that works for me. So therefore I just stick to it that way. So that's been my latest successful run going lean.
Conor, you've been silent. Give it to us.
Oh, no, that was good, man. I liked all of that. Liked all of it. On the accuracy of those kind of trackers, I think that was something you're asking about as well. I think it kind of depends on how experienced you are in this game as well. So I think as you're new, your perception of, how much calories or whatever nutrients are in food is kind of skewed. Again, like why would you expect someone off the street to understand this? So I feel like at the start, it can be very handy for getting an idea of things. And then over time, you can be a little bit better at eyeballing things. And again, that kind of depends on your state as well. So are they 100% accurate? No, they're not. Are they like closer towards 90%? Yeah. But you know what's worse than 90%? Our like vision of like food. Oh, that looks like 50 carbs. Usually you're off more than 10% for those ones.
Exactly.
So it kind of becomes a better win there. So it's the lesser of two evils, I'd put it. Pardon me?
I think I did that actually tonight. I was like, yeah, that looks about 50 carbs.
Yeah, it's like 4 buckets of pizza and Doritos and stuff.
This ain't much. This ain't much.
Yeah. We'll call it 50. Everything's 50. One going there, 50. Everything's 50. This sounds good, you know. So I
But
think a lot
you
of
know what,
people do that.
Prantik?
Yeah.
Yeah, like as Conor saying, like they're a good starting point, you know. But you got to put like you tend to know if you're able to stick to that for 2 weeks or something like that, you'll know, you know, what the accuracy of it. And you know, if you say you've put on 2 kilos when you're trying to lose weight, all right, maybe you should lower that number.
Time to
You know,
change the
total
gear.
Yeah.
calories.
Time to change the
Yeah,
Often
gear.
that's
it's
not the tracking. Often it's the strategy as well. You know,
yeah.
so like imagine like you think 1,500 calories would be the best thing for you to lose weight. You know, if you really, it's often you're eating 1,600 and it's still not working, maybe it's 100 calories, but maybe it's something else completely, to be honest. So I think what all these different tracking things that Nick has done and what's so good is if you track your steps, like you mentioned before, if you track your food, you track all these things and you don't get a result, or you do, it allows us, instead of saying, oh, this could have been A, B, or C, we can now know that, okay, it's not A because of this, minus 10%, plus minus. We know it's not B because of this. So it must be C. And it really allows us to change the thing that's affecting us most. So I think that's a big part about it.
You know what? Whenever I've done diets in the past, I used to underestimate like previous trying to lean out experiences. I used to underestimate how much fat I was really consuming. So for example, this last phase, I've actually said nah, like majority of my foods come from carbs and fats. Like I just know that. Sometimes I even just struggle to get protein in, and not because I don't like it. It's just like, fuck, I forgot to go to the shops today. Fuck, I don't have any protein shakes on me, you know, kind of thing. And so what I've done is, all right, I'm like, okay, what's the bare minimum I need to have, you know? And I go by one, like at the moment, I think it's 1.9 grams per kilo, right? So if I weigh, what do I weigh right now? So I weigh 97 times that by 1.9. Oh, 97 times
A 200-ish. Bit under.
Well, 184. That doesn't seem like much, considering I used to have about 230, right? But what I've noticed is, because in the past, I've just underestimated how much fat I was consuming. I used to love a lot of meats, you know, maybe chucked in a couple tablespoons or teaspoons of olive oil here and there, and fuck it, it's not going to go into the meat. It's just going to be left on the pan kind of shit, right? I thought I was in calorie deficits, but I was like, maybe I'm actually not. Like, I'm not losing weight. Like, maybe I'm not. And trying to be consistent 7 days a week. Okay, Saturdays come. All right, I might have a couple of things here, a little bit extra as I'm cooking. Eat this, ever. You know, like, oh, okay, this isn't working for me. So what I found was, okay, let's just drop the protein just a little bit. You know, still stay within what is so-called required. And you know, when I can and when I will bring the uptake up. So I've during this fat loss phase, so I've gone on protein a little less, which is unusual because some people say protein actually causes you to, you know, like it's like a hunger suppressant. So, you know, the more protein you eat, the fuller you are. But to be honest, I don't feel like fucking death just, you know, because I'm not consuming as much protein. I feel like I'm consuming, you know, quite a good amount, but I think just the fact that I know I'm still consuming enough carbs and fats to go along with that. Like, maybe the first few days, first week was hard, but you know, 7 weeks now into it, I'm cool with it. Like, I like it, you know. So that's basically what I'm doing lately, and I know that I'm not underestimating, you know, my fats now. You know, coming from meats, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying underestimating my fats. So, you know, like just, you know, the fats that are from the animals and stuff like that. I was probably consuming more than what I thought I was.
Yeah. Especially in restaurants as well. People really underestimate fats. Like, if there's any macronutrient, particularly restaurants, because they're making the food taste good. Like, I think I saw like a grilled, you got like a chicken burger. So it's like chicken breast, lower cut of meat. You're like, oh, it's a little bit of sauce there, whatever, but it's like 40 grams of fat. And that's like a lower fat option, man. So it's just, really easy to underestimate those ones, eh?
Like Go, Prantik. Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
go ahead. Finish off.
No, I was gonna ask you
Ah.
about your experience with that.
Oh, well, I feel like what Connor said that estimation with I, you'll probably be more than halfway beyond the wrong point. So 60% of your estimation would be wrong. Oh, let me one handful of rice. That's not that's like 20 grams of rice. Let's put it in there. No, your hand must be like humongous, and then you are grabbing one handful of rice, and that's 150 grams of rice right there. So you're definitely bound to go wrong. When you're using weighing
Deck of
scale.
cards, as I heard, is a decent option.
Uh huh.
A deck of cards, like if you look at a deck of cards, like the chicken breast size of a deck of cards is 100 grams of chicken, so 20 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's probably not far off, but again, you guesstimate.
That's a
It's
wild
handy, yeah.
imagination. Chicken breast size of deck of cards. I don't even know how to imagine that, but I'm just
But man, you gotta see who that you gotta see who that's applicable for.
exactly. Who's it
Yeah,
working
so those people like Connor, right, but maybe not as advanced as him, right, that just need simplified diets, right? Sometimes when they're looking at their plate of food, right, and they got like that little chart, a deck of cards of meat followed by a deck of cards of rice with the rest of it covered in veggies or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
For some people's brains, they could be like, "Fuck, I can so do that," right?
Yeah.
And they'll be able to stick to that. But if you told them, okay, no, I want you to consume 25 protein, 30 carbs, 10 fat, right?
They're
And
gonna
they
go
try and
crazy.
put that out on a plate. Some people just don't know how to process that,
Exactly. They're gonna
right?
go
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Not only
I've literally
that.
had a busy client and
Mhm.
I had the whole measuring guides be based off their fists and their thumbs. And would use that for different amounts of like meats, vegetables, whatever. And it had to be that vague. But
Wow,
it works. So it's, look,
it works. Yeah.
if it works, it works.
Yeah.
It's tracking how reliable, but if it's working, it's working.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I use my Apple Watch, and the difference I've seen is it actually triggers you to work. That's the thing that's built into the AI of the Apple Watch, and they've really done a good work with it. They say that you know how you close out rings in your Apple Watch. Those are the exercise ring, and the exercise ring has a standard. You can't really change it, so it's a standard 30 minutes. That's recommended
Mm.
by WHO, I think. A person needs 30 minutes of this exercise every day, and that's where it's set. Now, if you do over, which we all do, it just counts for it. It just takes into account and counts the calories. If you do under, it'll keep warning you that oh you're reaching end of days. It's a 24-hour cycle, so you're reaching end of time for your cycle closing. So you haven't done enough to close your ring. So stuff like that. So I feel like these are like triggers by these gadgets that are keeping you on point, and this is a starting point for so many people. I don't know if Fitbits does these or not, but
Yeah.
Apple Watch especially is like I recommend it to people because of this. If you really wanna make some impact on your training, make changes, then definitely go for these type of gear that'll help you. Like keep you on track rather than obviously your personal trainer would also be there every time, but you won't be able to call him up every day, or they won't be able to call the clients up and say that okay, it's time, did you take your breakfast, was it 50 gram, stuff like that, did you burn 720 calories, how is someone going to measure that? So taking aid of there's numerous, I'm not just Apple centric, but I'm talking about Fitbit, G, and a lot of other stuff. Garmin. These are like the top brands which are up there tracking, and Apple Watch is the most AI, most intelligent of them all. But there is also other apps that gives you like a track or a schedule that is so close. Like you'll miss the target by 3 points if it's a 100-point target. So it'll get you there till 90 plus. So it'll count your steps. All those small watches that run on like 500 milliamp hour batteries, it will run for 5 days because it doesn't have a feature of receiving calls or taking pictures or even send nudes. I'll see them in my Apple Watch, stuff like that. So no, these Apple. It's more sophisticated. The more sophisticated it gets, the more knowledge you need to learn. But for simple application and tracking devices, use it, and it's. I feel like it's very valuable in nowadays when we have we all of us have a digital footprint. Everyone lives in emails and
It
stuff.
can be very valuable in the sense of, say, like when people go, let's say someone's had many successful phases of dieting where they've lost, good amounts of weight, but let's say they then took on a job, which overall up their intake, so their NEAT levels are actually a lot,
Mm-hmm.
higher than, say previously before when they've done other diet phase. But let's, for some reason this person is said, okay, I've been successful on 2,000 calories a day. I'm going to go back to 2,000. But next minute, they're dropping weight like crazy because now they're a tradie who just works,
Exactly.
is on their
Physically,
feet all the time.
yeah.
If they got one of their watches on, yes, in their brain, they should be thinking I'm on my feet a lot more. But to know how much more, that's where these trackers do come in handy, because you can compare it. Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
what am I doing now, right, on an average weekly basis compared to a year ago? Hoping that you still wear your watch.
Mm-hmm.
A year ago, when I had my desk job and I was having to go for walks every day to get my daily step count kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? And then from there you can make
Assumption.
good
A very nice
you make an
assumption.
assumption, or you can make changes, or this changes your approach to how you're going to tackle this
Mm-hmm.
phase kind of thing. So definitely, man, I think these watches have their place, but I will say I don't think people should, there's the obsessive nature. I think people get lost in as well. Oh my god, I've got to make sure, like that, what do you call it, I think the active calories, like, like how many active calories I've burned, how many rest calories. I think when people are getting obsessed in nature about that like they're almost getting a bad, emotional,
Mm-hmm.
attachment to it. I think that's when things can go a little bit
Of
wrong. It's
balance.
kind of like it's kind of like having bad relationship, with food, for example. But like I think, like I said, they have their place. Use it as a tool, as a way of, promoting a healthy lifestyle for yourself. But, be aware that too much of a good thing, as they always say, is not necessarily a good thing, right? So but going back a little bit, we talked about, I was just kind of briefly mentioned about, you know these fat loss phases. Like you can all of a sudden go go too hard without realizing, or sometimes they go a little bit slow. But let's narrow that a bit. How have you guys approached phases like getting lean, like, going hard, going slow? What do you guys like to do? I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious. Like, do you like fat loss phases to be quick, sharp, precise, or do you like it slong? I mean, slong,
Slong.
schlong, long and slow.
Let me start off with my journey of fat loss. My journey of fat loss actually began when I actually got in the correct path and in the correct hands um, of my trainer. And it was good. I mean, it also depends. This is a very, very important factor that I'm going to tell the audience about. Is fat loss journey also depends on the food that you're consuming, which primarily depends on the region that you're in right now and listening to us. So, if you're somewhere from India or Asian countries, your diet is going to be way different than any Western or Eastern countries. Um, for example, Nick and Connor, you guys are from Australia. So, the diet that you guys will follow on a daily basis will have one or two items that switches in Asia and America. Stuff that changes. It also depends on availability. I know most of the stuff is available globally, but availability, by that I mean that what your family eats and what your family has grown you up on. Not everybody is just grown up on eating diced chicken, did your mom feed you boiled chicken when you're small? No, hell no. You would have hold a grudge on your mom by now. Like, mom, what were you feeding me? Boiled chicken all the way with salt and pepper? Get fit, get down. So probably Arnold does that with Lulu. Um, no offense, Arnold, you're the greatest of all time. Um, I got Lulu. Eat carrots. So Yeah, I mean, like, it also primarily depends on where you are. So, as going back to where I am, eggs are always internationally available everywhere. Some eggs are brown colored, some are white. So it depends on the poultry farm it's coming from. uh, okay, so other than that, rice, Indian, I used started my diet off with different type of food, like rice. Obviously rice, everybody has that. Dal, that is something, it's pulses. So it is something very beneficial. It has a lot of nutrition facts, but also at the same time it's not available all over the world, and not everybody can make it and eat it, because it is governed by factors like water type, where it will boil. You need to have good water to boil the dal. So stuff like that. And once you make it, and I urge you guys to make it, it's very tasty. It's like you put some salt in it, some pepper in it, some chili, cilantro, tomato, and that's it. It looks amazing. Some black peppers as well. The whole black peppers, and it'll taste amazing. So it goes down with the rice easy. So it's not just dry rice you're eating. You're having some fluids with it. So
So do you like long or slow diets?
I like slow diets. Like before, the ones that that I did before were long ones. So I was cutting over like 2 months, 3 months. I was cutting. But now, when I came out to Australia, I had the concept of staying prep ready throughout the year, and then 2 or 3 weeks, and you're ready for the comp. Then you take a month just to fine tune all the muscle parts, all the muscle bellies, round muscle bellies. You need veins popping and jaw dropping muscles. So,
When you were dieting for so long, like, did you find that like your training began to suffer
mm-hmm,
towards like the end of those dieting phases?
mm-hmm. Weakness is the number one thing that sets up on you. So once you start dieting and you're deep into the diet, deep into prep, as we say, weakness is the biggest onset that comes on. And I felt this before. The way some people, I mean, like, there is other stuff that reinforces your lifts, as you guys know what I'm talking about. But then again, like, when you're really low on that carb, you don't want to, you feel agitated. That's the main reason why
Mm.
people feel angry when they're, it's not because of anything else, guys. Don't have the wrong notion. It's because of the food. It's because you're low on carbs, and your body is not getting that energy it is supposed to throughout the year. And
So you
so,
feel like shit.
exactly, and your body is kind of like rejecting everything. It's very natural. It's trying to get back to its natural form, and it's
Would that
rejecting
like
exercise.
would that like feeling like would that impact, you know, your relationships with people? I'm actually curious. Like when you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling agitated, shit, crazy at the world, like does that affect the people around you?
Well, it depends on person to person as well. You guys know me as a very calm person. I'm a very calm person.
Mm.
So it depends. I mean, like, the agitation level for me would just go up a little bit.
Mm.
I would show some road rage at that time. I remember showing some
Mm.
road rage to some person, but I always kept in mind that I have to drive safe. I have to drive safe. I have to drive safe and stuff like that.
Mm.
But you would see a lot of people who are like really angry. They get like mad at a different level. You talk to them in between the sets, they'll like get mad at you. They'll take their
Mm.
earphones off and roll your eyes and stuff like that, but it's totally unnecessary. That's where you learn control, actually.
Yeah.
If you
At
know
the
how
end
to
of the day as
control.
well,
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
day, it's your choice to compete. Like, no one's forcing you to go on a diet.
Exactly.
And if you can't meet with the terms and conditions, then that is your problem. It's not other people's problem that you
Exactly.
can't eat
Exactly.
Exactly.
That
donut,
is
you know?
very wrong for those who like lash out at other people. I mean, I go to the gym, and a lot of people give me attitude. I'm not saying that it's something bad. It's how you're built or how you're brought up by your family. But I've seen a lot of gentle giants as well. Um, I mean, you're doing a set, and then this show up, and the common question you get is, how many sets left? That's a good question. Some people say, how long do you need? That's also bearable up to a limit. And then come some people who's like, doesn't even say anything, slides it in front of you, grabs the dumbbell and moves out. I'm like, okay, but I might use it
What?
for, yeah, I'm like, I might use it. I'm like, there are three other dumbbell racks. go take your business somewhere else. But then I've come across some other people who just come in and say, oh, gives me an opportunity. This is the person I met the other day, and this is how he put it. He's so like, I was touched. He was like, oh, this gives me the opportunity to actually do alternate exercise. And he put it like that, and that
Yeah.
really gave me the vibe. I'm like, yeah, man, that's how people should be. I mean, like, that's the prime example. He's like
Yeah.
using it so well. I was on the dumbbell rack, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you're using it?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, go ahead, no problem. This gives you an opportunity to do something else. Look at that. That's great behavior.
I've been
He
attacked. I've been attacked. I've been attacked. Like not physically. They've just said like, you don't know what it's like to be in a calorie deficit. Like, and I was like, whoa, man. Like just calm down. And so I'm like, you're the one fucking wanting to do this in the first place. Don't drag me into your shit.
right. So yeah, I mean, like, food has a lot of things to do with your mindset. And obviously when you're
If it's getting
dieting
to
down.
that point, though, if it's getting to that point, like I know someone like you're very controlled, but if that agitation does boil up inside, you know how to channel that and probably take it out
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't give it. I think the problem occurs when you start, how it impacts people around you, especially within your gym and stuff like that. Obviously, that can impact culture and everything. It's not worth it.
The thing is, if you think about it, if you start thinking that, oh, I'm agitated, you will get agitated. And
Mm,
especially on the tipping point, when the water is just about to boil. If you think it's boiling, it will boil. Like,
mm,
if you think, stay calm and like, okay, I'm not going to get hyper, I'm not going to get hyper no matter what. You'll never. All these big
mm,
pros, you see Josh during his peak season. I've never seen Josh. I know Josh very personally, you guys know that as well. And I've never seen Josh, like, never has he been agitated. you know these people are there at the top for a reason, because they know how to control everything. Not only Josh,
mm.
so many power lifters, and we have all met so many people. We've been to the Arnold Classics so many times now that we know, like, what people are like. Look at Kai Green. Um, he's a friendly person. He's friendly as ever. He's on his suit, mini Kai in his hand, grapefruit in his other hand, if you know what I mean. It is like amazing that guy is funny, even when like things are going, like through dieting, or he's going about to go on stage. I have this amazing story. I guess I told you. I met Curry, Brandon Curry, and he was the reigning Arnold champ. He just got done after receiving his trophy from the pro, and it was a Sunday, and I went there and I'm like, "Hey, you look really good for being in off season."
Mm. To,
And he won the show. He won the show that night, and
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, "You look really good to be in off season." He gave me that look, but he never told me one word because he knew that I was a fan. So, Brendan, hats off to you. You're a great man.
I think definitely
Yeah.
like a,
Oops.
a
I ripped my
podcast
cord.
we can talk about. I think definitely a podcast we can talk about in the future would be like how to prep yourself for a diet, because like obviously these psychological factors are going to come into play, whether stress contributes to that or just parts of your psychology, foreshadowing that for something like that to potentially occur. I think we should definitely have a chat, or a podcast in the future about how to really set yourself up for the most successful diet phase, not just things practically, but how you're going to be affected mentally, and just how to better prepare for that, if that is possible, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, I'm curious for you, because I've seen you go through points where like fuck man, did you just like lose like 10 kilos over the weekend? Like, are you all right? And then like that could be classified as an aggressive cut for you. But I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know your journey.
Yeah, that's food poisoning.
Yeah.
I think on the whole, especially if you're quite full, you can obviously drop weight really quickly. Like a big part of your 4.5 kilos in 12 days would have been like the dehydration factor from like going to low carbs. So you can definitely see a dip there. And I think, look, trying to figure out how fast or how slow we should go should be relevant to what the client can adhere to. It should also be a factor of how far away from your goals and how much time do you have to get there. Because if it's a very large span of time, you can do a slower one. You can do even more refeeds. You can do diet breaks. You can do stuff like that. I think as well, in terms of strategy for people who are trying to manipulate fat and muscle mass, the fatter you are, the more aggressive I believe you can and should be, because muscle loss isn't as dangerous a factor when you got really high levels of fat. As you get leaner, you can potentially pump the brakes a bit, especially as like other performance measures can be really hard to manage. It can be a game of, okay, I'm trying to lose fat, but I'm really not trying to lose muscle as well. So I think it depends on where you're at through your phases. There's a weird research between like how you oxidize fat and stuff like that in terms of rates you should go at and the like. But I think, yeah, it ties back to your adherence and where you're trying to go. So I think personally, I like slower if I'm trying to go for the best look at the end of the cut, but I like faster if I'm just trying to get back to growing. Like if you're trying to do like a mini cut or resensitization phase, then I kind of in thought process of just get it done so you can spend more time growing. Because another part of the equation is with like growing, gain, lean, because we're trying to usually manipulate those factors, is I don't believe you should have the same rate of weight gain that you do weight loss. Like your bulks on the whole should be slower than your cuts can be, because fat tissue is a lot easier to lose than muscle is to gain, and we can kind of replicate the caloric jumps with that in mind. So I think it depends on a few things, but particularly for the like mini cut purposes, yeah, I'll definitely go for the quicker route, as well as I kind of just like get in, get out, boom.
And you seem pretty chill. You seem pretty chill though, like through your phases of dieting. Like you don't seem, you're kind of like neutral. There's no like excitement, but there's no like, you
Depression.
know, like depression kind of thing.
Yeah,
Equilibrium.
that's just the times you see me.
Yeah,
nah,
I'm sure your missus gets a handful of it all.
Hey,
yeah.
as long as I've
No,
seen
that was
Conor,
serious.
Conor was a Cocoa Pop man. So his carbs were
Yeah.
shooting.
Dude, I should have
Actually,
been like rewarded as a stakeholder in like Kellogg's. I pumped the crap out of Cocoa Pops. Like so many people associate me with that. At least there's something.
I actually do have a question here. You brought up the topic of how fatter,
Fatter.
like let's just say the overweight part of the population, there you use aggressive fat loss cuts with them. Do you like, for example, you know, like let's just say they're 5'3" and
Hey, that's
they're
me.
they're 110 kilos or whatever. But generally for a 5'3" girl, you know, between 58 and 63 kilos or 60, you know, between that range is a good weight range, you know, physique wise. If you saw a 110 kilo person and you just dropped all that weight over the course of X amount of time, would you just do it consistently until they hit 58, or would you give them
That's wrong.
breaks, like as in, or would you make them maintain? Like, okay, look, our first goal is probably let's lose 10 kilos, and I'm actually going to put you on a hold here for a little bit, maybe up the calories for a bit, kind of thing. Like, just kind of like think of it like a homeostasis kind of thing. We're going to establish a new norm right now versus just go, and then like, you know, next minute, like, oh, fuck, you know, like I've just got one extreme together. How have you dealt with, you know, clients like that, for example?
Yeah, you
with
really
that fast
just gotta
approach,
try and get them board. I think sometimes you got to work with people. I'd love to say the best thing to do is just like move and then break and then move and then break, because there definitely are physical things. But as much as you try and get people out of the mindset to be all or nothing, sometimes people are like that. So it's like, okay, what's going to be the lesser of two evils? And you kind of find weird, funky ways to incorporate refeed days or pull back and train without them really noticing and allow things to recover. But in an ideal world, yes. So when I was saying that like the fatness before, it's relative to the person, but with that chick scenario you're talking about, So the reason you'll do a diet break is usually regulate hormones, mitigate stress, get you more psychologically ready to go again in case you're feeling a bit burnt out. With someone that is quite overweight, you won't need that as quick as someone that's more on the leaner side because, well, to be frank, the whole life has been a diet break in a sense. So, um, so you can. It's almost like, let's say you had 40 kilos to lose. No example, I think you said. You could probably find yourself losing the first 20 in like a quarter of the time, and then you kind of slow down from there theoretically. And you use like feedback responses like, performance, energy, mood, adherence, a bunch of things like that to determine where we could do diet breaks. It can be like 4 months, it can be weeks. It kind of, that stage usually depends on the person. Longer periods, yeah, ideal, but at that stage, like your homeostasis is a bit of a mess. It takes a long time to really like solidify the weight. Like for talking about like alleles and like I'm trying to remember what it's called, something else as well. I've forgotten. But multiple cycles of like 6 months can be handy for really like solidifying at a weight. So sometimes people can be like, oh, okay, your month there, you're pretty much adapted to that. It's like, oh, kind of, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it depends on the person. But I think, again, you got to do what works for you. Sometimes just getting the ball rolling with like, sometimes these larger people that need to have, because they're like potentially so far off from what they need to do, you might be scenarios where just getting you on the path to lose something is big, and then once the ball is rolling, you can almost go more aggressive from there if we're kind of matching psychology. In the same way that your first week of your dieting, you mentioned, was a bit harder than the last 6 weeks, you kind of been on a roll now. And sometimes people can be like that as well. Yeah. I think I'll leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a good approach, because I'm sure we've all heard stories where someone's lost 100 pounds or something like that. And most of the time, a lot of them put, if not all, back on, or
Mm-hmm.
even more. But I'm just trying to think about, just like, yeah, there's a lot of things that happen, mentally and stuff like that. But like, imagine the amount of physiological stress that's actually put, you're losing all that weight and then you're putting it back on again. There's just so many changes that are happening. You see those overweight people that have just lost all this weight and, so quickly, and next minute, like, they got so much loose skin everywhere, and then they put it all back on again. Like, there's just, the amount of, I feel like that's kind of stress, it's, for starters, that it's not worth it, right? Like, yeah, you know what? Like, even if you are overweight, and you lose 10, 15 kilos or something like that, and you may not look the way you want to look, you're actually putting yourself at less risk of, the potential harm of, of all the diseases that you could, all the health, risks that you can get from just being overweight. Yeah, from being overweight. The fact that you're losing 10, 15 kilos, you're putting yourself in a better position. Great, and, if you're that person, that have ticked all those markers that can kind of go through that little diet break and, resensitize things and things like that, I think, total benefits that you can get out of that. I think that whole yo-yo thing that you see a lot with, so many different people out there, I couldn't imagine, just all the physical stress that is actually just putting on your body, just going through shit like that. Like, man, like, I've been trying my entire life to try and put muscle on. Like like I can go down, but going up, like, in the good way. Like, I've been trying to do that shit my entire life. Like I want, if I'm gonna yo-yo, in a sense, that's the kind of yo-yo I want. But like, fuck, like, yeah. Prantik, you about to ask me a question before I cut you off?
No. You're good.
Cool. Yeah, man. That's yeah. That's
Hey,
no, it's good like input from you guys. I was actually really interested to see what you guys had to say with your
what's your
stories.
Nick? How was your in like a short word? How was your journey when you moved from America, from that fat chubby boy, from the chubby kid, into a kid who moved to Australia and became lean?
Man, like, I think I got worse. I got worse when I came back to Australia. Like, I was that like nerdy kid, like, with pimples, with like gaming headsets, playing Halo, drinking Mountain Dew, and like shit like that. That was me. I used to have LAN parties at my house, for God's sake. It wasn't until I think I was maybe 16 or 17. Or like I've always been like active, but like when I started to really notice, hey, like I don't look that great, kind of thing. I look out of shape. I was about 16, and I think because I started watching the Rocky movies, he just started running, so I started running, right? But I will say like I've been going to the gym. I started going to the gym again maybe when I was like 17, but I was going to the gym when I was like 11, 12, 13, consistent when I was living in America. It's just when I came back, I didn't go to the gym for a little while. But when I hit 17, I haven't stopped since then.
Yeah, your
So
dad used to
that's
take you,
9
right?
years now.
Your dad
Yeah,
used
he did.
used
My
to
mum
take you to
actually took me through my first weight session, did leg extensions. Fuck, man, this 12-year-old kid, traumatized quads. Thanks, Mum. Thank you.
But yeah, wow, that's I think there's a journey for everyone. That sounds cool. Nice journey, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, like I was a chubby kid, but I think at that point, like I said, I was a gamer, so I didn't move much. Like so I think the fact that I was, man, I remember running 1 kilometer. I struggled. Like it's not like I wasn't fat.
Those Mountain Dews.
Like no, yeah, like literally oxygen trying to move through my body just was not working. So like I think it was like any kind of diet or any kind of training you're doing, the moment you gather momentum, you kind of just ride that shit.
But you're still a gamer, aren't you? As in,
every
like,
now and then.
you play games with,
With what?
you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what he means. Conor, do you know what he means?
I got no idea, mate.
Yeah, fuck, man.
Conor, would you like to wrap us up?
I definitely would. I think it's approaching bedtime. All right, lads, ladies. Hopefully, we all enjoyed this episode of Forge 2.0 performance experience. Still
I like the way
unstarted.
that word rolled off your tongue. It was like, yeah,
Which
Forge.
one?
Forge.
I hope that like little dash above the E does what I hope it does. Right. Tune in next week or whenever. We're doing this stuff again, but hopefully, got some nice takeaways from the episode.
Yes,
Good to
sir.
hear that Nick's, getting leaner, getting healthier, all the rest. Tick, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you
We'll
too.
catch you guys next time.
Till next time, lads.
Peace
Go
up, A-Town.
I'm gonna.
Thank you for watching the Forge podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you want to find out more about us, check the description. And as always, thank you for listening.